Right, guys, welcome back to a conversation with. I'm joined with Steph. Steph, introduce yourself. Tell them a bit about yourself.
So hey guys, my name's Steph. I'm 31 years of age. I'm originally from Wolverhampton, but I live in Birmingham currently. I'm a personal trainer and I'm also a filmmaker slash director slash producer. Yeah, the whole nine guys. I'm trying
So many hats.
Yeah, so many hats. It's my passion, by the way. I do love filmmaking. Like I love storytelling, narratives, and things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. So with this conversation, obviously real honest, like real life conversations we're gonna have. Take us back to Steph in primary school days, so like year 5, year 6. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, primary school days. To be fair, I left to go to Jamaica in around, I think it was year 5 actually, because my parents decided to sell the home that they had here and just basically move to Jamaica. I can't remember exactly why, but yeah, I was the last child of 7, so I had no choice but to go with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I left with them and I experienced a whole lot because what happened was obviously I missed out in 1 year of primary school over here, so I had to finish it off in Jamaica. But yeah, I finished it off and I learned a lot. Like it's almost like my education was like it was like a fast forward. Because when you're in the UK, I feel like they hold the children back quite a lot. Whereas in Jamaica, like you're learning. Say for example, you're in year 6 in primary school. You're already learning what you're supposed to learn in high school over here.
Okay.
So the education system is forward. But yeah, my life in Jamaica was like, wow, it was a whirlwind. But I'm so glad for the experience because I realised now looking back how privileged we are as a society in the UK, in the Western world. Because yeah, in Jamaica, the third world countries as well, they have very little, but they make so much out of what they have.
Yeah.
And we here, we're like scrambling. I don't have no money. Let me depend on the government. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, really?
And they ain't got nothing over there. It's true.
And they ain't got nothing over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. I guess to go into a little bit more detail about my experiences in primary school over there was, the discipline levels were like here. If you misbehaved, you'd get. You don't just. Gosh, honestly, the flashbacks would just come in. Like I remember one time where, the teacher told me to stand at the front of the class, so she humiliated me basically.
Yeah.
Humiliated. That's the one. Stood out like this, with my arms in front of me. She come with a ruler. Boom, 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 boom. Don't move your hand. Boom, boom, boom. And you're like, don't move your hand. Boom. And you have to stand there for a good amount of minutes before you could go and sit down. And my hands were burning, whales. Like, she ain't just doing tap. She's doing boom. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow. It got so bad. Like, to the point where I remember one time they said, you're going to stand outside when the clock strikes 12, when the sun's at its hottest, and you're going to stand where the sun actually pipes down by the lamppost. I stood there for half an hour. I swear, like, I must have went home looking roasted. I looked roasted, and I was so vexed that I told my parents. My dad went down to the principal. Don't you ever put your hand on my daughter again. Never did they touch me again. I was so
you cannot. So I was going to say that, like, so your parents can say to the school and teachers, like, nah, that's not okay. Because you hear stories like, well, no, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if it's allowed, but it was so bad with me. I was like,
yeah.
You're going to have to deal with this because I'm like, my parents beat me like this. Why do you touch me? Don't, you know what I mean? Please. So, yeah, he took the initiative to go to the school and be like, just don't do that again, So yeah, like that was my experience at school.
That's mad. So how long did you move back to Jamaica for?
I was there for just under 2 years, I believe.
When you came back?
When I came back, and I went straight into year 8.
Okay.
Was that 2 years? Kind of. Yeah, around 2 years. I went into year 8. So then obviously I spent the rest of my years in high school over here.
Yeah.
That
so how was that? Because obviously you was here beginning,
yeah,
and then you went to Jamaica, totally different education system, totally different way of living. You're now like a teenager, early teens. You've come back here. We're unruly. You know what I mean? The system, like, the education system is different.
Yeah.
Pupils, students, different. How was that transition coming back?
It was crazy because I'd already learned everything that they were teaching in year 8. So the initiative that they could have took was to push me into year 9.
Okay.
But because of my age was basically the barrier. So even though I was so far ahead of everyone, they still kept me in year 8. And so because I already learned everything, I was like, let me just rebel.
Yeah.
You know, so I used to do like skiving, like I just rebelled. I didn't listen in class. I would like flirt. I would do all sorts of madness. You know what I mean? Like, but I was very much a chameleon. I'd mix in groups, different groups.
Okay.
So I wouldn't just stick to one clique.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like just weave my way in and out of different clans. Let's say, my school was predominantly Indian, actually Indian and black. And I had one close friend. He was my best friend at school actually, and we were like this. So you wouldn't see him anywhere without me anywhere without him. You know, until we left school really. But yeah, we was just best friends, man. So we would just, you know, kind of either hang out together all the time, or we just kind of like tap into different groups. Like there was something, I knew that there was something different about me and him. And obviously later on, that's when I began to recognise what was different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got held back to the point where my rebellion, you know, affected my education. So set fours, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. And I was just like,
like the lower sets.
Lower sets, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. And I recognised in school as well, I was always getting in trouble because I was loud.
Yeah.
I never thought I was loud. Maybe I was deceived. But I just felt like, you know, when they always picking on you, like, so I'm always sent to stand out. So I'm like, Brian, why are you picking on me? I don't know. I just felt like I was a subject to be like, you know what I mean? And I don't know. But yeah, I guess in school I was quite bold as well. I remember one day I went into school wearing bright blue wallabies. And that kind of got the attention of everyone. That's when I've just come back from Jamaica.
Yeah. So it's a thing there.
Wow.
Fashion thing then, not a fashion thing here?
I just didn't have any black shoes.
So you said, you know what, let me go get a bright blue one.
And I was like, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to roll in. And everyone was just like, bruh, what you doing? But I had no shame.
Yeah.
But anything had no shame. And I think that's what kind of made my personality as well. Just the fact that I was so bold about everything, you know. But I look back now, blue wallabies, really? Black uniform? Okay.
Was it a blue tie? No matching?
No coordination.
Yeah,
no coordination. But that was my school days. There wasn't anything fantastically exciting about my high school days, if I'm honest. Even thinking back now, I'm like, it was just so basic, getting into fights. Not initiated
just the norm,
by me, but it's just the norm, like trying out like different stuff like smoking, you know, getting into different types of relationships as well. Like I didn't get into much relationships at school actually. It was just
just a little
Yeah, literally my school days.
Those little ones. So now obviously you mentioned you and your friend, and you obviously saying there's like a difference and stuff. Let's tap into that, like explain a little bit what you mean by that.
So without obviously disclosing his information,
but
I just knew that we connected because of how I felt towards women, and I didn't realise it. It wasn't really activated at school like that. There was the odd flirts I do with girls, but it was never
taken serious.
Yeah, taken seriously. It was just like, oh yeah, she's my best friend, or do you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. I wasn't in a relationship with any girl actually, like in school like that, because I didn't tap into it as much. It's not until I left school now that's where I was like, my mind just went a bit wild. You know, I was curious, like super, super curious. You know, as young people, you're like, let me try this for the first time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? That stuff. But yeah, it was during my college days, that's when the lights for me switched off. I say switched off, and I'll tell you why they switched off a little bit later. But yeah, they switched off, and I was like, let me just feel around in the dark for now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was interesting because it's like I was living a double life kind of thing. People didn't really know about my sexuality because obviously it was taboo. I guess it's not really taboo now, but yeah, back then, being a part of a Jamaican household, strict parents, and you know, there's certain things that you grow up with, and you're kind of afraid to open up and tell your parents. You're like, this is embarrassing or shameful to the family. You know,
that's been shame and all that.
Kind of thing, you know. So yeah, I do remember exploring dating sites after school, like during college period, exploring dating sites and going on to MSN and like, you know, but also making fake profiles. Because it was at that point where I was like, okay, I'm feeling around my sexuality, but at the same time I don't want to be labelled as a lesbian.
Yeah.
You know.
Sorry to cut you, but making fake profiles as a man seeking a woman, or a woman that's obviously not a picture of you seeking a woman.
Sorry, for clarity, as a man seeking a woman.
Okay.
So that's where my my double lifestyle started. So I was me at college.
Yeah.
But then when I went home now and I got into the internet, that's when I became catfish.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was like I'd find a picture. Actually, I'd stick with the same person actually. And I'd basically use them as my profile, basically. You know, just to kind of get the attention of women. And then I'd take their numbers, and like I forced myself to speak to them on the phone, and I forced my voice to break as well. It didn't break, but like, you know, at night time, sometimes your voice gets a little bit deep.
Yeah,
so I was speaking to them specifically at night, and I had a load of them on the go. Like loads of them, like even to the point where I'd get into a relationship with them, but I would never meet up with them and things like that.
Okay, yeah.
But then, it just kind of like spiraled until things became serious with one of them. And that's when I was like, this... Actually, I also found out that one of them was also catfishing me. And I was like... But then I was like, what? You're doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God.
But it still catch you off guard.
You caught me off guard? Because I was like, this girl was paying? But it wasn't her? I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I was speaking to this girl on and off, like, for a while. But then I was like, yeah, you can't be mad at her. But anyway, I fell for someone else in that kind of, like, profile.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile, aside from that, I was also kind of, like, deeply into this website called Downey.
Okay.
Downey was a place for, you know, the LGBT community to come together and like just it was that. And for me, I was like, whoa, this is brand new.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's over black people that again. Like, what? This is crazy. You know what I mean? So I was on that. Then I was also on other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So like black chat.
As
like
you or as
a man.
As a man.
So
okay,
I guess it was a triple lifestyle really. But anyway, I met this one girl as that man basically, and I was like, yo, I'm falling in love, and I can't hold this back from her any longer.
Yeah.
So something in me was just like, tell her the truth. Because every time I'd go and meet with her, I'd meet with her as the guy. But then it was almost like a stalking thing, which right now, obviously I'm saying this to you.
Yeah. Back then you don't think like that.
You don't think like that. Now it's just like, raw. You did all of that?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like.
So how did that conversation come about? Or did it come about?
With the girl?
Yeah.
Right, I remember phoning her one day. I was at home and I was like, look, listen, I'm not who you think I am. And I told her the truth. And she broke down. In my mind, I already made peace with the fact that she's going to leave me.
Yeah.
She broke down. She cried. I never heard anyone cry like that in my life. And I felt so guilty. Like, so guilty. in that moment. And I was like, look, I'm sorry, I understand if you don't want to continue this. Like, you know, if you want to meet up with me, like, I'm happy to reveal myself to you like that. I just wanted to be really transparent. And so we met up. I was so surprised. Like, she didn't want to let it go. Like, yeah, she was like, let's continue this. And we met up. At this time, the girl lived in Birmingham. And we met up, and I was like, wow, blown away. And that was like, to be fair, my second encounter with a real life girl who I was with, basically. But you know, that puppy love kind of vibe, smitten, smitten over her, like deeply smitten actually. And yeah, so we persevered in our relationship for about a year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, about a year. And then that's when I started to branch out into the LGBT community. Well, I wouldn't say branch out because there wasn't one formed at the time, but then one started to form around me because I started to meet so many other people that were also, you know, of the LGBT community in Birmingham and in Wolverhampton. And that's when, these nightclubs started to pop up, such as Slag and some others in London as well. And I'd literally have house parties. I'd host house parties and bring so many different women to these house parties and people who are transgender as well. Like, and we just have a wild time, like literally wildlife parties, literally. And it's like, that's where I began to discover myself even more. Yeah. You know, so I'm tapping into these places. I'm like, wow, you're gay, but you're so beautiful. How come like so much black girls are so beautiful and gay? Do you know what I mean? Because when you think about gay, you don't think. Yeah, you just think of it as one time. One time, yeah. So it's like, this is interesting, you know, and so my heart opened so much more to that. But even though it was still very much low profile, it was for a reason, you know. And then obviously later on, my mum found out. How did that? Because I was just gonna say that, like, obviously still like low profile. There's like this side of it that everyone, like obviously your friends know. Did any of your family members know? Did you have like, I don't know, close cousin or sibling to tell? Or was it just like, nah, stick this over here and then family over there? They knew. Like my sisters, I feel like they knew. They do. But mum though, that was, you know what I mean? So I came out to my mum though. Okay. And she just said, I don't understand why you can't just be a, she said, like, I'm paraphrasing now, a lesbian and not dressed like a man. Okay, yeah. It's almost like she was approving of that lifestyle. But then she was like, don't make it obvious. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But later on, like, I saw that it wasn't a thing for her. Like, as in, you know, I'd bring the girl who I was dating over and she's like, don't bring her back to my yard. Yeah. And I'm like, what? She's just my friend. Obviously lying. She's my friend. No, what do you mean? And she'd just do my hair. Like, what's going on? She's like, don't bring her back to my yard. And obviously I was mad. I was like, this is unfair. So I decided to move out. And I went to live with my sister who lived basically down the road from my mum. Yeah. And then that's when I started to kind of like look for places in Birmingham to live. So I branched out into Birmingham. How old was you about, like? Around 19. Okay. Yeah, just kind of finishing up uni. No, college, sorry. So about year 19, I moved to, my first place in Birmingham was Newtown. And then I went to Ellington. Hostel, basically. And hostel up there, but it was nice. The apartment was paying. So yeah, and then I had my experience of really living alone, like taking responsibility and, you know, just being an adult or becoming an adult. Yeah. And then I met someone else, got into a relationship with her, and we were together for 2 years, I believe. But yeah, I made a lot of mistakes there in that relationship. Like, hurt a whole lot. I was hurt as well, to be fair. It was a very violently toxic relationship. And I think violently toxic because I was like, I let me play house. Yeah. You know, like, because I'm this peng stud. Stud is a woman who prefers to be dressed as a man, basically.
Yeah.
And play the role of a guy, basically. So yeah, I was like, I can get any girl that I want, but I need this one at home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So let me
Yeah.
play house kind of thing. So yeah, I slept around a whole lot.
So sorry to cut you. Was you obviously you said you was a stud? Would you go for other studs? Would you go for femmes? Or it just didn't matter?
So yeah, just femmes. At that point, it was just, yeah. I couldn't look at stud that way.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't attracted to men like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
You know, even though I had been with men in my childhood, they were never serious.
Yeah.
As in, like, I was not serious about them. I'm assuming they weren't serious about me either. But yeah, so my thing was to disguise myself as a guy as much as possible.
Okay, yeah.
I'm the man in the relationship. I take control, and I'm the provider, basically. You know what I mean? That kind of thinking. And I'd go for feminine women, but women who can hold their ground as well. You know. So yeah, that's where I'd go as a stud.
Yeah.
And have I been with another stud? Nope. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. But yeah, that was the mindset I was in anyway, you know. And yeah, kind of from there, just went from relationship to relationship, and I saw the LGBT scene grow around me. You know, after hosting many like house parties, even putting on nightclub events myself, specifically for black LGBT or black queer individuals. And yeah, I really delved into that lifestyle, you know.
Yeah.
It was a part of me, it was my identity, you know. There was many different things that have happened, you know, during that time that obviously I'm not proud of. And I look back now, I'm like, however, you've learned so much.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I've learned so much. But yeah, I was very, like, I guess a promiscuous person. And I felt like during my relationships with women, they almost became my emotional crutch.
Okay.
I need them to kind of lean on emotionally because I felt like I didn't get that from my mum. So when I couldn't open up to my mum, I'd go to other places.
Okay, yeah.
That made sense. So, you know, and I know that became a burden for some of them. But I didn't.
Because obviously they're not realising that's what you're doing until it's like always heavy and overwhelming and stuff like that. Yeah.
But they were there for me though.
Mm.
It was still very much like, I'm gonna be here for you. You know what I mean, that kind of thing. But yeah, I took advantage of them emotionally. That's how I see looking back now. That's what it was.
So like, did you ever tell like? Because obviously you said you told your mum and stuff. Did you tell your dad?
So actually,
how did that come about?
I don't think my dad even knew. You know, like maybe he had an inkling. But he wasn't around for too much longer when I left home, to be fair. Because he passed away in 2013.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, so 2013, I think he knew.
Yeah,
I could have never been blind to that at all. Because they would come to my house and they'd know that I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And she's there. She's in the family most of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows
It's
her.
one of those things you know, but you just don't speak about it.
You don't speak about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I'm sure he was not oblivious. But he never really spoke to me about it like that.
Yeah.
He would just always be like, pull up your pants. Because I used to wear them long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my mum used to hate it. Like, hate it. But my mum was more the matriarch of the family.
Okay.
So she'd have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad's very reserved.
Okay.
You know, so it was a good balance. You know, because it was necessary. My dad would be there to like calm down with my mum.
Yeah, you need a balance in it.
You know what I mean?
For real.
Yeah, man.
So like going through, obviously you said you lean on like, you know, your girlfriends and these women for like emotional support due to obviously not having that with your mom. I know you're quite open on your Instagram and stuff. So obviously your journey from being a stud to then wanting to transition into actually becoming a man. So where did that come from, just being a lesbian stud, to then wanting to actually take that kind of step further?
Yeah. It was always in my mind in my teenage years.
Okay.
But I didn't know what it was, you know, until I met my first transgender friend. And I was like, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the identity that fits me.
Yeah.
You know, so I used to kind of like imitate quite a lot. I'd strap my breasts down, I'd wear like bucket caps and like baggy tops as well, like just to really disguise my figure, because I was very curvaceous. Yeah, like I was very curvaceous, so I was like, let me just disguise that so I can appear more like a guy.
Yeah.
But I didn't go for any surgeries at that point because I'm like, hey, if my family ever found out about
Yeah,
this, what would happen? I'm not ready for that right now.
Yeah.
You know, and then again, even being in relationships, what I would do, I would ask the women that I'm with, like, what would you do if I decided to do this? You know, sometimes I'd get a positive response, other times I just knew, it was nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, they'd look at me like I'm crazy, you know? So, I just remember doing a lot of research around it, you know, watching a lot of YouTube videos about transgender, female to male, people in America, you know, making that medical transition. And I'm like, wow, like I was in awe, you know, of how they can go from looking like a woman to a man in like 6 months, you know, and I'm like, this is me, this is what I want, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, what it was, like, in my mind at that point, I was like, I won't be judged, you know, like, I can live my life as a man and not be judged, because this stigma or this label that I have on me, this being called a lesbian, it is a stigma. It's what brings that judgment. I don't feel accepted. So if I'm a man, I can freely be with women, because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's seen as a norm.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I think it was 2014. I spiraled into actually 2013. I think I got baptized, right? But I got baptized and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was getting baptized. I just did it to please someone.
Yeah.
A family member actually. And I was like, all right, let me try this journey. Even though I was still in a relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe we can do it together. Like, I'm sure it's okay to be gay and Christian.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And then I'd kind of like find other women who were also practicing, you know, religion. And we'd have like little Bible study groups sometimes and stuff. It wasn't that deep, but it was something where we just discuss. We wouldn't really look at the Bible like that.
Yeah.
It's like, what if this, what if that? Can we still be gay? You know, it was very much a question. And it was genuine as well. And then I was like, something feels wrong though. Something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then the further along into the journey that I went, I was so disconnected. I didn't know who God was. Like, I had no form of teaching or anything. I wasn't even trying to go to church like that. I just got dipped and that was it. How do you feel? I don't know, I feel the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, like that was it. So I remember that year now, 2014, I started to spiral downwardly, you know? And that's when I realised that I was just really, I got into this space where I was like mentally depressed. And I was like, oh, I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, where
did you know at that time, obviously doing your research and stuff, did you link the two together? Or did you just think, I'm just in this space and I don't even know what's going on or how to even get out?
Is it the depression?
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know I was depressed. You're already depressed, you don't know you're depressed.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, I was depressed then.
When you look back,
Yeah. So I didn't recognize it. All I knew was I just want to be happy. That was literally it. I just want to be happy, you know. And so I took the steps to medically transition in 2014 September. I remember I was living with my friend for a while. Well, I wasn't living with her. I went to stay with her for a while because I tried to isolate myself from the world because of that downward spiral.
Yeah.
She took me in. She provided for me, cooked for me. She did so much. Like, she just took care of me. And then I was like, look, listen, I've got something to tell you. And she's like, you're going to be a man. And I was like, how do you know? Like, I'd never even discussed it with her.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. And I was like, well, how? I don't know, you know, I think it would suit you better anyway. I was like, So finally, I had someone who approved of it instantly. It's like, instantly I got validated like through her.
Yeah.
And then I changed my name straight away via Depot. And then I took the steps to actually transition in, and it was a quick one. Usually when I was looking at the whole scope of transitioning, it, you know, took quite long for some people.
Yeah,
so the process of getting hormones, to getting surgery was just long. For me, it was like boom, 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 boom. Yep, go to the doctors, I'm going to get these hormones, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm supposed to take, I know how often I'm supposed to take it. I literally years
because you've done your research before,
I mean. And so I did that, and then I started documenting the journey on YouTube.
Yeah.
And from documenting the journey on YouTube, it started to get picked up by BBC, and that's when all the, you know, the traction came.
Because you've done that documentary. Yeah.
So like I started transitioning, and I realized that, you know, I needed to document this so I could see the changes myself.
Yeah.
My voice broke like so quick. You know, my face started to change, my body shape started to change, like, and I was just so eager to already get to the final result. Every single day I'm checking myself, you know, checking if I look any more masculine, and test that by going out. You know, people are still addressing me as a woman. I'm like, I'm not even there yet, so I get mad at them because they were tricking me, because I'm like, I'm a man though. I'm telling myself I'm a guy. Call me that, respect my pronouns, and it was like to the point where it was taking over my life, and I was like, this is the one thing that I didn't want to happen. I just want to transition into a man, and that's it. I don't want to be known as someone who's transgender. I couldn't run away from it, CHÉY. I was just like, what is going on? You know, but like, I realised that let me just stay present, you know, and just go through the motions of this transition, because when you get to the end, you'll be like, okay, cool, now this is over, you know. And think about it like this. So imagine, like, how long do you go through puberty? About 3-4 years.
Roughly out there.
Imagine 3-4 years of puberty sped up into one. That's transitioning. So imagine all the hormones, imagine the mood swings, imagine the libido, you know.
And something you're not used to as well,
because I already went through my female puberty. I'm on that man's puberty now, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was intense, CHÉY. Like, I played it off like it was cool, but then I also looked back, and I remember making some phone calls to my ex-girlfriends. I was like, what was I like going through that period? Like, and one of them was like, I didn't know, you know, what to walk in on. I didn't know what to expect. As in, like, every time I came to see you, you know, I just didn't know what to expect. And I remember her also saying that I was constantly, like, suicidal. Like, you know, if she was going to walk in on a dead body or something, basically, you know. And I was like, really? That was me? I cannot remember any of it. And I'm like, what? She's like, honestly, it was scary. Even when you made the decision to go to Jamaica and do that documentary, it was scary. And I was like, wow, like, I didn't even think about how it would come across to the...
because in that, I'm guessing, in that moment, you're just in that moment by yourself. You're not even thinking, because obviously this is something that you want to do, wanted to do as well. You've done your research. You're like, yes, I'm doing for this, I can do this and this and that. You're literally not even thinking how it's affecting other people around you, or, you know, conversations and stuff like that. So, that's...
Absolutely. it was literally all about me, which means it was very egotistical
Yeah.
of me, you know, to even do that, because I didn't care about their well-being. I didn't care about their welfare. I was like, just come and see me. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I've got a girlfriend. She looks good on my arm. Trophy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was so bad. It was so bad. And also, what what I want to say is, during those moments, you're trying to find what kind of man you are as
Yeah.
well. So it's like, am I going to be the stereotypical man? Or am I going to be, you know, where am I going to draw my influences from?
Yeah.
And my influences were stereotypical. Straight up. Like, it was like I became misogynistic.
Yeah.
Because the idea that I had is women, you should be in the house, cook, clean, wash. Like, I'm a man, if I do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That's the mindset I had, you know? And I was just like, it was toxic. But I didn't realise that until obviously later on in the journey.
Yeah.
So I'm going through all these phases, I'm like, what kind of man am I, or who am I going to become? You know, I'm still having to pick out these things. It's like a choice now. I can choose, you know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like further into the transition, obviously there was a lot of attraction that came towards me, because now it's almost like I became a pillar
Okay. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
trans community, especially in the black trans community.
Yeah.
So I get hundreds of messages from people on social media. How do you do the transition? Like, how can I do this? How can I? So it's almost like I became an advocate now.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, bro, I was not asking for this in life. You know, so the pressures of being someone who was of influence was, it was intense as well.
Yeah.
You know, like there was a lot of expectation, and you know, even though I was like, okay, let me help this person with that, it became very draining.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, I want to completely come away from the trans community, the LGBT community, like completely, right? And I was like, I want to find me a best friend who is straight and who is a guy, and so be it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
literally, that's what happened. You know,
Okay.
like I was like, let me just find someone who's in the heterosexual. I just want to be normal.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I did. I kind of like shed that skin of, you know, being transgender, but I'd still go out and be like, oh no, you do that, you did that documentary, or you know, you're a YouTuber, but I couldn't
Yeah.
get away from it. You know,
Especially
so
Birmingham being so small as well.
listen, I go to London and the same thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow. You know, I'm obviously in the moment you're basking in it,
Yeah.
because you're getting noticed by so many people, and you're also, I was also drawing a lot of women to me as well, so I had a lot of attention on me, and at times it felt good, because I was like, yeah man, I'm the payingest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
You know, very like warped perspective of myself, like, 'cause again the ego was there, it was
Yeah.
visibly projected, and I needed that stroked. So every woman that I got with after that needed to stroke. If you couldn't stroke my ego, I ain't about it.
Yeah. On to the next.
Do you know what I mean? So which is why I was like, okay, this one has to be a trophy for me. You know, like I said, I had such a warped perspective on relationships. I had a warped perspective on love. I had a warped perspective on, like, you know, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. Like, gosh, there's so much layers to it. It's I'll be here forever peeling back all of them. You know what I mean? But yeah, later on into the transition, I just remember coming away from it and building a whole nother life
Yeah.
as someone who was now called myself straight as a transgender man, because I'd only go for women, and I started to build my film career even much more so. So I started my film career from like 19,
Yeah.
but then this is where I gave myself wholeheartedly to my career, because I was trying to disassociate from this identity. So I had to find another identity, and that was in my work. So that then I was, you know, inspired to be many things. I inspired to be like, you know, one of the greatest directors of all time. You know? And I started to cultivate a little community around me as well. I wouldn't say community actually. I'd say like a film kind of like
Yeah, like creatives.
creatives. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Myself and my friend at the time as well. And that's where I kind of like thrived.
Yeah.
Anything to get away from that transgender identity, I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, and to the point where I was like, I don't want to date anyone who's a part of that community. Like, leave me alone. Literally, leave me alone. These are my true experiences.
And it's literally, it's crazy saying that as well, because going back to like when you was in school and like college, you had your parties, you know, be popular in these communities. So then now doing what you want to do, transitioning, or transition should I say, and wanting kind of like nothing to do with that. That's a bit like, for me anyway, hearing that was like, eh? Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean?
I know. It's crazy. Because even I was like...
Huh? It's like something you want.
Yeah.
Something you wanted, and it's just like,
no.
Nah.
Yeah. So also, like, in the beginning, it was an exploration for me. You know, even though I was like, I was exploring my identity. I was like, let me try these shoes on.
Yeah.
No, this one doesn't fit. Let me try these ones on. No, this don't fit. I like this one instead. Let me try these ones. And I'm walking in those shoes now. You know, and I'm living that life. And I'm like, these shoes are worn out. I need some new ones. You know, and that was it.
Yeah.
Trying to find my identity in my walk in this world, you know, and coming towards the end of it, not to say too much on it, but like I think God allowed me to get into a particular relationship that would show me what it truly means to be a woman.
Okay.
Because I know that I had a warped perspective on womanhood, full stop.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of go back to my childhood. For example, I remember when I started my period, but I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And I was in primary school here. I was young.
Yeah.
That is young. What is going on? Like, why? What's coming out of me?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I went home, like trying to hide it from my mum because I was like, maybe I'll get into trouble for this. Like,
okay.
I was
Yeah.
completely unaware, like, you know. And then my mum clapped. And then she came upstairs, she gave me a sanitary towel. Sorry to be so, like,
no.
open, but like, she gave me a sanitary towel, right? I did the most stupidest thing though. She didn't tell me what to do with it. So I just assumed that maybe it's for my head.
Yeah.
And I stuck it on my forehead. And I went downstairs. I went downstairs. And that was the end of the era for me. Because I still on my period, you know what I mean? Like, that weren't doing anything. So then, like, just even thinking about that, I didn't really truly understand womanhood.
Yeah.
You know, like, why am I putting a pad on my head? Like, when I was young, I don't know this stuff, you know. And I guess I allowed life to teach me in stages as I was growing up, you know. Like, I didn't really get most of that from my mum. My mum was more so, you know, stay away from boys, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, you know, Jamaican parents, and I was like, let me go and explore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, kind of like fast forward now to, you know, coming towards the end of my transition journey, I was learning about womanhood through another woman.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, she was teaching me what it really means to be one. And I was just like, okay, so I have to unlearn some things then, you know. And I went through that process of unlearning so much. And even down to what it means to be a man. Because that wasn't my design. Yeah. So I took on a role that wasn't for me. And here I am battling. So let me tell you the mental turmoil now. For example, I'd go to the toilet, right? And I'd have to use the cubicle. Yeah. I'd go to the men's toilet, but I have to use a cubicle where they can use their urinal. Yeah. I'd feel super dysphoric, meaning, like, again, there's just a misplacement of how my body feels because I'm not a biological male. and that's the internal battle.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I have to sit, they can stand. They can go to the loo outside. It's somebody's basic. I have to find the toilet, you know? And it's like, okay, I'm not fitting in. Boom, that's one aspect to it. The next aspect is probably going on holiday, for example. I've got scars on my chest. People are going to question, or people are going to wonder. And now I'm going to have to hide them in somewhere or try and make my chest look bigger.
Yeah.
So then I'd indulge in fitness. So I make myself look like, my physique look more masculine so that I can hide these things.
Yeah.
So I could blend in some more.
So there would be no more questions and stuff like that, innit? Yeah.
Questions, you know, again, mental trauma, you know. And then you have the constant injections, you know, making sure that I'm taking the testosterone shot. Like every 2 weeks or every 6 weeks or however long it's supposed to be.
And if you stop those, would you?
If I stop those, the chances where I start to reverse, if I change the reverse, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that's
okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then you also have, okay, do I want to have lower surgery? You know, do I want to get rid of my room? I have to get rid of my room because, you know, there's a chance it will become like cancerous if I don't, because I'm taking, like, you know, hormones that are now
that go against that,
my natural hormones. You know, like, you don't think about these. You think about these things, but you don't deep them. Until you're like,
you're right there, innit?
Until you're there. You know, and I got as far as like putting myself on the waiting list for lower surgery, which was then having like a penile graft.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, take yourself off that waiting list. Like, it was so subtle, but it was often, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
From other people or just yourself?
Just internally.
Okay,
you know, like, as in, like, something was saying, don't do it. Just.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to live your life, you know. I know that you're in and out of hospital constantly when you have that surgery.
Yeah.
So now you're really, really playing with God's design, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, but then it'll be easier for me now.
Yeah.
But will it though? Because you're still going through this internal conflict.
Yeah.
So you're trying to fix what's on the outside, but that's not actually
solving what's inside.
Yeah, it's not solving the problem because, hang on, are you happy? Have you reached that place? If you get this, will you be happy? Is that constant, you know, yearning for fulfillment that can never be filled with whatever we try and fill it with.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
And that's where it's like, gosh, even a simple conversation. I remember the triggering point for me that was like, you know, forget all of this. I remember being in a conversation with my best friend and someone else, right? And we was in our office, and he was just talking about how he would fix himself in his boxers, like, as a biological male, right?
Yeah.
But not like, hey, I'm a biological male, this is what I do.
Yeah,
it was just a conversation between them two. And I was there, and I was like, I cannot join in this conversation because I do not have your struggles.
Yeah.
I do not have your struggles.
Yeah.
But that bothered me. Like, CHÉY, when I say that ate me up a lot, that was the moment where I was like, I'm going to commit suicide. There's no point living in this life because I cannot get to what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
And I will never be what I'm trying to become. And that's when reality really struck for me. And then obviously, aside from that, I also was in a relationship. Well, I was in an on and off relationship with someone, and I knew that I wanted to marry her, but I knew that that's not what she wanted. You know, I knew that it would be a struggle, even for her family to accept me. You know, it was that constant. She has to protect me. She has to protect me, and, you know, convince people that I'm a man and that she's with a man. Like, do you know what I mean? There was that back and forth. You know, with a woman, no, and then her thinking about, you know, you think about family, you think about like, you know, having your own, you know, and I can't or couldn't give her none of that.
Yeah.
So I was beating myself up internally because of that. I'm like, we ain't gonna last, man, because do you know what I mean? Like, I can't provide what
you want,
you know, and that's what really kicked off that next downward spiral where I was like, I don't care how much I've achieved in my film career, I'm gonna end it all, you know. And that was in September 2019. Yeah, September 2019, and that's when my life started to change completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
So how do you go from you wanting to transition, you've done your research, you've done all this, you're thinking you're happy with all this what's happening.
Yeah.
Then you've got yourself on the waiting list. You're like, no. Something's telling me this ain't it.
Yeah.
This is not it. So then you're battling there.
Yeah.
And then you've come to the point where you want to just end it. Then to spin 360. Talk about that, like going through that journey which you've just explained. You wanting to end it. What made you spin and just be like, nah. There's more of me.
I knew it. Like I knew there was more. Like rightly you said, and there's more of me. I knew it because I was like, I've not really reached that full state of fulfillment. I know there's gotta be something else out there, and my brain just started to question, and it's like I hit rock bottom. Like I lost everything. When I say lost everything, meaning like my business, boom, went down the hill. My relationship, boom, downhill.
Yeah.
Like everything just went downhill for me. Everything that was important to me anyway. You know? And I was like, why do I keep hitting rock bottom? Why not always getting to this point? Like, what is it that I'm not doing right? You know, I want to be rich. I want to be famous.
Yeah, tell me all.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, what is that true fulfillment? Because we can appreciate the small wins, and the small wins eventually become that big win. But would we say that we have allowed ourselves to reach true fulfillment and all of that? You know, so yeah, like I lost it. Like as in like I lost myself. And everything that I attached my identity to had to get stripped away from me so that I could come back to ground zero. Literally, I had to come back to the ground zero, and it was facing that reality of who, you know, my true design, basically. And I think for me, it was purpose. I say this all the time, it was purpose. It was like, what is my purpose here on this planet? Because I used to have these, how do you pronounce it, ethereal experiences.
Yeah.
Like, that made me understand that this is just temporary. Like, there's something deeper. Like, what's my soul's purpose?
Yeah.
You know, because I did a lot of feeding this vessel. I made a lot of adjustments to it. I've not been happy with it.
Yeah.
But then, was I really feeding the right place? You know, was I nourishing the right place?
Yeah.
Even though it was an internal conflict, I was only fixing things that were on the outside and not what's in the inside. You know? And so between September 2019 and December 2019, like I had some mad experiences, bro. I'm like, what is this? You know, like even my birthday's in November, and I just remember having this one experience in November where I won this, like a raffle or prize or something like that to have be a muse for a tattoo artist.
Okay.
And I told this tattoo artist what I won. He was based in London, and I went down, and he was like, "I'm doing an exhibition, so you're gonna be my muse for the exhibition." However, here are the postcards. So you have to lie in a circle of fire, butt naked, whilst I tattoo you with a hand poke needle. And in my head, I'm like, okay, sounds cool. I don't know about being naked, but okay.
Yeah.
Let me do it anyway. It's different, right? Like I'm experiencing new things, you know. Bear in mind, I'm transgender. I haven't had lower surgery, so I have a top that looks like there's no breasts, but then down there, it's still a woman, you know. But I was like, fine, whatever, you know. And I did it, and I was lying on the floor, like cold floor, for about 3 hours. Whilst his hand poking me with a tattoo. Whilst he's tattooing me with a hand poke needle. And I couldn't move. Had to stay like this, almost like the position that
Jesus was. Oh, so you was lying on your back?
Yeah. The same position that Jesus was in.
Yeah.
On the cross. That's what I was lying in. 3 hours straight. Got up after that. People are coming to interview me because it's a live exhibition. Got up after that, left, went to the chip shop. I was hungry. I was hungry, bro. And then immediately I felt something go like this. Like someone got a knife. I was cutting me open from here all the way down, and I was like, "Is this a tattoo? Why am I feeling like this? Is a tattoo?"
Yeah.
And then I couldn't breathe, and it was like I started to. What happened? It was slicing me open, all the way open down to my core, down to my stomach, and then I started to keel over like this. It's like a fetus position. I'm standing up in the shop, and I'm like, the pain was excruciating, and I remember my friend telling me not to do it. Yeah, I didn't listen though. Rebel man.
We never do.
We never listen. Yeah, I mean, and then
Innit?
because I was in London, I had to go back to the coach station in Victoria.
Yeah.
I made it to the coach station. I mean, it wasn't good, honestly. And then I got on that coach, and the driver had to stop, call an ambulance. I was that bad. I was in pain, right? Because this thing is slicing, still cutting me open. Cutting me. Got to the hospital now. I'm in a wheelchair like this. I'm literally like
Killed over
because if I move, it's gonna be worse, you know. So I was like, what if it's phantom pains because it's down here now?
Yeah.
What if it's phantom pains because I had my womb removed hysterectomy?
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe it's just phantom pains from
Around about the same time.
Like a couple of months, a couple of months before. To be fair, a good couple of months before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what phantom pains? I haven't had phantom pains in a while. Like,
yeah.
You know, confused, but I'm in pain, shit, honestly. And they're trying to search me now. They couldn't find anything. I'm in the hospital. I stayed overnight. Like, and I'm still feeling this pain. Like the tablets, the morphine, nothing could stop the pain. And I was like, what is going on? And then I managed to go home, and I'm still feeling the after effects of it. It's like it started to dissipate. But I'm feeling the after effects of it. I'm like, that was strange. But I couldn't put my finger on it at that point. Obviously, looking back now, I'm like, yeah, I know that was a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
100%. I realised that was more of a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't anything else. You know, but I guess during that time, my kind of mind started to open a little bit more, you know, as I went on a discovery to find purpose.
Yeah.
And it was unprecedented, actually, because it wasn't like I was like, okay, actively looking.
Yeah.
I was just being met by people, or like actually a particular person that was just very enthusiastic about the Bible.
Okay,
and I was like, you know, I remember him coming to work one time and he was like, yo, I just read the book of Romans, blah blah blah, like I'm what's I'm shocked, and he got me excited about it because I'm like, okay, I've never read past Genesis like that.
You know, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, you know, but he became very good friends with me, and I remember him just kind of breaking down, like crying, like we was personal trainers, like working in the same gym together. He's just crying. I'm like, why is this guy crying? This guy's a big guy, like as in like you're in your 40s, but why are you crying to me? What's going on? You know, and I realized that he was going through something as well, you know, and he would ask me about me. My experiences with the metaphysical, like New Age spirituality and that kind of stuff, and I'd tell him, and then he was like, just telling me about what he's reading. He's like, this other guy read it as well, like check it out, like, and it really drew me in. Like, it's like, okay, this guy's having this next level experience. Yeah, it was good. And so I remember going home one day, and I remember I started reading the Gospels. Like Matthew, I was like, I didn't realise I could even read this in English like this, because I just know about KJV. But when I saw NIV, I was like, whoa! My eyes were like, whoo!
Yeah.
And as I was reading the Gospels, there was something in me that I was like, there was this fear that struck within me. And I was like, why is this speaking so loud? Like it was speaking loudly to me directly. I'm like, this is something shouted at me right now. You know, and then I became even more intrigued, and so I started to kind of meet up with him. He was like, "If you have any questions, let me know."
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing, and I was so eager just to meet up with him because I had loads of questions, and I'm like, I need them answered. You know, and he was like, I can't answer everything for you, but I'm gonna try it. You know what I mean, and answer some stuff. So yeah, we began like meeting up in like coffee shops, going for coffee, just he would tell me his experiences and that kind of stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like it was just a whole nother realm in my head. And then that's when I started to really pray, and I started reading the Bible, like, and I really started to look for answers. My question was though, can I still be transgender and worship God?
Yeah.
You know, that was my prayer. Like, can I? Please show me a sign that I can, because I want to worship you.
Yeah.
There's been periods in my life where I've always wanted to be, you know, I wanted to be in a relationship with God, but I didn't know how. So I was trying different types of like religious, like sources and things. And so every single sign that I got, CHÉY, was no.
Okay.
Like, it was so subtle. To the point where it was like building up. I'm like, nah, man, I can't. You know when you ignore the signs, not really. No. Everything I saw. When I say signs, I'm talking about. I'm coming across videos, for example, of people detransitioning for God, and I'm like, nah. That's their journey. Do you know what I mean? And other stuff as well. Like, just God would purposely allow me to see, like, that His answer is no. You know, but then He was going after me, and that's what I realized. I wasn't just looking for Him. I wasn't seeking Him, but I was, you know, I wanted to know if I could do this.
Yeah.
You know, and then I remembered leaving my workplace in January 2020, and I walked out of the workplace. I'm on the phone to my best friend, and I'm like, "But I'm always broke. What's going on?" I'm complaining about life.
Yeah.
Like, we always reach into this part of ourselves where we're just, there's just nothing. What's going on? I was so ungrateful. Walked out of my workplace, see this woman in the middle of the road, car just went boom. Sorry, that must have been loud. Yeah, car went poof. And I ran over to her, like literally, she's lying in a pool of blood. And I've never seen an accident ever like that in my life. So I'm shaking, I'm frantic. So I turn her over into the recovery position, and then a man comes out of the car. Oh my gosh, he's frantic as well.
Yeah.
And I'm literally like, hold on, please, just hold on to the lady. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, realised in that moment there, God was like, there was one person who's potentially about to lose her life. There's another guy who is also about to lose his life, because if she dies, he's going to prison for life. There's one person who's completely alive. That would be me. And without getting emotional, I realised that God was like, you need to be grateful for your life. Because I was super ungrateful.
Yeah.
And in the moment where I felt like I had no purpose, God showed me true purpose.
Yeah.
And that's life.
Listen, God is good.
I was
God is good.
Wake up call.
Yeah.
And imagine that was the same night that I learned that Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the rest of those kids in the helicopter died.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you couldn't speak any louder to me, I know you're chasing me right now. If I don't let go of this lifestyle, I am going to end up like them. I'm going to die. We know this flesh dies anyway, but where are you going after? Do you know what I mean? Like, where are you going after? And that's where I started to take my life seriously. Because I was playing games. I've been playing games on this day, you know what I mean? Too much games, there's too much people. I'm playing games with my own life.
Yeah.
I could have been that woman, but guess what? I was 2 minutes away from her. I could have been that guy, but I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car. I could have been these people.
Yeah.
But instead I was the other one who was the witness, who was given a second chance. So that's when I really started to seek God. I found this church, and these people I was just met by like I don't know, just so much love that I've never felt before, and I was like, gosh, this is crazy, is this real? Because I'm not used to that, do you know what I mean? Is this real? What's going on? And then I literally was like, okay, I need someone to show me the truth because I'm seeing the signs.
Yeah.
But I need to know what one is Jesus black, like which denomination do I subscribe to? Like what's going? Like please help me, And I remember this guy called Frank, who's the evangelist of that church. Actually, he sat down with me nearly every day and studied the Bible with me, showed me the basic foundation, the elementary truths of what it means to be a true disciple. And I was like, I have never ever seen this before, to the point where it convicted my heart so much. I then saw the dark. And that's what I'm talking about, the dark. I saw that I was in the dark. I didn't understand what true light was because I was living for myself. I was living for the flesh. I was living in my ego state. And once I started studying the Bible, that started to be stripped away, like layer after layer after layer. Bear in mind, he was open with me. He was like, I've kind of been involved in the homosexual lifestyle and that kind of stuff. And I was like, huh? And you're home? Like, what?
Because it's unheard of, isn't it?
It's unheard of, And it's like, man, he told me everything. And I was like, man. But I didn't get open to him like that. Because I was still uncertain. To him, I was a man. And I was like, look, I've got something to tell you. Because the conflict for me was real. I was like, something told me not to get baptized like this. Like, he showed me the truth that I need to know. And he's answered all my questions biblically, not by his own opinions. I still don't know, because I haven't seen anything to be transgender. Like, as in, like, no transgenders in the Bible. So, I feel like I'm defying all the odds. Like, I'm an alien right now, That's how I felt, And then, I met up with him in City Road, Forest Street, the Starbucks in there. Or Costa, I remember. And I was like, look, I have something to tell you. And I told him, I was like, I'm transgender. And he's like, what do you mean, like, transitioning from male to female? I was like, no, I'm born female. And he was like, what? Like, his mouth dropped because he's like, I've never met anyone. And he was totally open and totally honest, And I said to him, haven't seen it anywhere in the Bible. He was like, never what? And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, okay, let's hold fire on the baptism. Let me get some advice. And I was like, wow, like that blew my mind because he wasn't a preacher trying to say that.
It was like, let me help you.
He was like, let me get advice first from my leader, And I was like, wow, this is crazy, like, so like open, so raw, so transparent. He weren't trying to be that know-it-all either, and I respected him for that totally. Because normally, as someone who's come from the LGBT community, you're like, you got your guards up against religion or against God. You know what I mean? And so, I remember he invited me to a karaoke night, and he was like, I had a chat with my leader and my co-leader who was her name's Christine, and he was like, we're gonna go back to the beginning, gonna study again with women. And I was like, hey, no way. Because already, I like a few of the women in the church. How am I going to study with the women in the church? No. And you got to protect them. That's how I thought. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I can come into church with my wife. Because I was thinking maybe I can be transgender and worship God. So I'm like, let me get prepared for this woman. Do you get me? And then I was like, and then he was like, you're going to study with them. And I fought. That was where the real wrestle with God began. Because I was like, okay, if you have made it evidently clear that I can't worship you as someone who's transgender, because that was not my original design. That's not who God knows me as. And essentially how I see it now is God created a masterpiece, and because I didn't agree with that masterpiece, I chose to debunk his art. And that was just me being super ungrateful for what God had already done for me. I didn't see it.
You wouldn't know, Anyone wouldn't know.
And I think it took me a while to even see that, and now I'm like, you know what? Wow, it's the same way someone me putting together a whole film and someone just turning around and like completely ripping it from me, saying this is not good. I fought with God. So I fought with God for a few days, and then lockdown happened, and it was just me, myself, and I in my flat. And I was like, okay, and there's God. What do I do? Like, I can choose to contact these women. I can choose not to.
Yeah.
You know, the ball was essentially in my court. You know, and I was like, you know what? Let me contact them. You know, I ain't got nothing to lose right now. You know, and so I did, and I remember. One of them coming to my house, actually the co-leader of the church, she came to my house and she told me her whole life story, and I was blown away by the testimony.
Yeah.
And I was like, how come you're so normal with me? I don't get it. Like, she just seemed human, you know, like, and not like over religious or, you know what I mean? She just seemed like you could relate to her, relate with her. And she's like, yeah, this is it, man. And then I realised that, I remembered, I asked her, I was like, but I feel like a guy, you can't take that feeling away from me. Like, why do I feel like this then? And she was like, okay, cool, listen, your feelings are true to you. However, they're just not true in God's eyes. Yeah. You know, God's truth is the absolute truth, and your truth is relative. You know, it's subjective to you. And I was like, wow, she didn't deny my feelings. She just helped me to see that God's word should reign over how I feel, you know, and that's what should take control in my life, because clearly my feelings have been controlling my life this whole time. I ended up in a place where I've not been happy many times over because of my decision based on how I feel. I felt like a guy, you know, I want to be a guy, I should have been a guy. Like, these emotions are tossing and turning. And the only word that never changes is the one that we can rely on, which is God's word. And that's when I was like,
that's true.
Okay, now that makes sense. You know, like not in a logical sense, I get it. It's resonating with me.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay, alright, let's study the Bible again then. And I did that, still wrestling. And then one day I was going to throw in the towel. And the minute I made a decision to throw in the towel, I stepped out of my bed that morning, and it's like something just, I put it like this, washed my heart, right? And I just started pouring out tears of joy. The minute I made a decision to say I'm going to throw in the towel, there was this tears of joy that I can't even explain. I was like, I need to get baptized? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was like penny dropped. I cannot go back into the world with everything that I now know. This truth is way too heavy for me to go back to living that lifestyle, you know. And so that's when I was like, please baptize me before I change my mind.
But you was already baptized.
Right.
Can you be baptized twice?
So when I was baptized, then I wasn't baptized as a true disciple. I had no knowledge, no foundation, no nothing.
Okay.
So essentially, I just took a bath, like legit, you know. So when you study the Bible, that's when you realize that okay, so it's done in a specific way, you know. There's structure, order, and protocol all throughout the entire Bible, Old Testament and New Testament. Yeah. If you don't have that structure, order, and protocol, like, can you really say that you're saved? I've been on that journey ever since, like, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been so eye-opening, so enlightening, so, gosh, you can't put into words when you're walking with God, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, like, that's basically the story.
So, like, just to wrap it up, what do you identify as now? Like, what's your pronoun? What do you prefer now?
Okay, so yeah, I've gone back to my original identity. So the pronouns are she, her, and yeah, my name is Stephanie, and I even like research. Well, yeah, I researched what my name actually means, and in the Greek it's short for, it means Stephanos. Stephanos actually means a crown. And I was like, okay, royalty right there, royalty. Okay, we love it. Good choice, Mom. Yeah. So yeah, I've gone back to my original identity, and I feel so much more lighter, so much more free, as well. Like, I mean, I'm still human. I still go through it, you know.
Yeah, of course.
I've really trained myself to put God's word above how I feel. So even if I am attracted or pulled or lured towards this person or that person, it's like, no, okay, my boundaries are here. You know, I'm going to learn to, you know, really put firm boundaries up, because at the end of the day, I know that if I entertain that feeling, you know, automatically it's an opposition to God.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want that anymore.
So does that mean, like, because I have no clue, does that mean you're not looking for relationships with women, or it's just yourself and God at the moment?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's not. It's not the lifestyle that you know, God has ordained for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Yeah, I'm not looking in that direction. In fact, I may want to get married soon. You know what I mean? So like, I know it's huge. Like, what?
Yeah,
you spent like most of your life.
That's what people say, but it's you. It's your journey. It's
Yeah.
when you're ready to do whatever. It's, even though I understand what you're saying, like, once this, then this.
Yeah.
But it's your journey, and
Absolutely.
it's like, if that's what you want, and that's what you're happy, it's you. It's no one else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God's there. God loves you. God, you know, showing you the way and stuff. So that's your own.
Yeah, man.
Your own thing, man.
It's it's a beautiful thing, you know, because like now I realise that it's not even a pursuit of sexuality. It's a pursuit of holiness. It's a pursuit of purity as well. Like, how can I keep this temple pure, you know, for my relationship with God?
Yeah.
You know, and obviously I didn't know what all of that meant before. Now I'm like really seeing how sacred the vessel is, and how much, you know, we need to nurture the soul.
Yeah.
It's the soul that's eternal. This is, like, temporary. So yeah, man.
That's good, man. And I can see that you're happy. Like, you're obviously smiling. And I'm an energy person.
Yeah.
So like, I can feel like positive energy, and obviously I follow you on Instagram, and like, you know, seeing your journey from start to, like, I'm not gonna say finished, but it's not finished. But till now, you know what I mean? It's really like, it's incredible. It really is incredible, and keep continuing doing what you're doing. You are incredible, man. Guys, that has been a conversation with the one and only Steph. All of her, you know, Instagram and stuff will be in the description below. Stay tuned for the next conversation with. Thanks, guys.
See you later.